be here. We're going to take a little bit different twist tonight. We're going to talk about recruiting and what you can do to help your players during this difficult time, because it's really a tough time for kids to get noticed, particularly when there's no games going on, and, how we're trying to combat that and some of the things we're doing at the University of Toronto, which I know is, happening at a lot of other schools across the country. So we'll get right into it here. Joe, with me tonight is Coach Joe Capiello. He's our recruiting coordinator, D-line coach. He's going to be Vanna White tonight. I'm Pat Sajak. So we'll get right into it here. So USports Recruiting 101, we'll call this. How can I get identified? What's the recruitment process look like? Potential financial awards, and what exactly is a letter of intent. Those are the things we want to cover in the next half hour, and then 25 minutes, and we'll be happy to answer your questions at any time during the presentation or at the end. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Okay, how do I get recruited? How do I get identified? Obviously, the player's got to work to be the best he can be. It's a little difficult with the second one, but play as much football as you can. I know we were getting tapes this fall of guys, there was no contact football, but there was guys playing in flag leagues and touch leagues. So you could at least, get a look at their athletic ability. A little tough on the O-line and D-line as far as that goes, but certainly from a skill position, those are things that kids can do. Now, as the, things start to open up, hopefully, maybe this summer, there'll be some camps, or even, as we go into the fall and next winter, combines and camps that kids can attend. I can say from our own personal experience, we held a summer camp in 2019 before the season, and we had about 70 kids, and we've signed 6 of those kids over the last 2 years. So and I know, other schools are doing the same, and it's a good way for kids to get seen. It's a good way to kids to evaluate potential schools that they're interested in. And, it's also a way for them to become better players. Post their highlight tapes on social media and any recruiting websites that they can come across. And be sure, this is a number one mistake, you better put your contact info in your highlight tape so that, if we see something that we like, we can contact you. So those are some pretty easy steps. I'm sure a lot of you are getting hit by your guys as far as making highlight tapes. And even so, to take the highlight tapes even further, we're getting tapes that kids do. What are they doing now that there is no football to get better? Are they in the weight room? Are they out running? Are they doing drills out on the field with, those type of things? Even those type of films indicate the kid's desire to be a university level player, to get better, even when times, don't necessarily allow it. Okay. All right, Joe, want to go on? Okay. So again, how do I don't be shy, whether it's you as their coach or as the young man. Contact as many schools as you can. Don't be shy about sending out your, your highlight tape. Don't be shy about approaching coaches when they're at, whether they're at a game, whether they're at a practice, whether they're at a combine you might be at. You need to make yourself available, make yourself known to coaches. Okay. They should ask you as your coach to contact on their behalf. Okay. And then, as I said, anytime a coach is visiting at a game or practice, don't be shy about approaching them. Introduce yourself and, do something to make yourself known, and try to establish a relationship with those coaches as you go through the process. And the number one thing we always encourage young men and their parents, and even you coaches, is ask questions, because there's a lot of things that are new during the recruiting process, a lot of things that are unknown. So don't be afraid to ask questions, because nobody has all the answers. Okay. next step. The recruitment process, what does it look like? Okay, so as you're establishing those relationships, asking questions, and you're going to come to a point where, you know, can I take an official visit? Can I take an unofficial visit? And then my decision and commitment. You know, right now, you know, most places you can't take any visits. So what does a young man do? Okay. Well, one of the things that a lot of schools are doing now is they're reaching out to high school coaches and having recruiting sessions with the schools and the players at the schools. Also, one of the things that we did this past recruiting cycle was, you know, after we identified potential student athletes at our school, we would invite them to a Zoom virtual tour and to show them our facilities, get to know the coaches. We had panel discussions with our current players and even some alumni with prospective recruits. And, you know, as a potential recruit, you need to go to those type of sessions and find out about the players that you're going to be calling teammates, find about the facilities, the coaches, what each school has to offer so you can make an informed decision. Under normal circumstances, an unofficial visit is the student athlete just comes to the school. We can show him around on a tour, okay? But we can't pay for anything while he's there. We can't provide him transportation to get there. It's all on his own dime. A lot of, you know, an example of this would be, you know, like we invite the kids to come down to watch one of our games or practices. And then we sit down and talk with them before or after the practice or game, give them a tour of campus, that type of thing. You are allowed to take as many unofficial visits to one school as you wish. There's no, you know, you can only go 3 times, whatever. If you want to go to the same place 5 or 6 times because it's really one of the places you're interested in, you can go as many as you want for unofficial visits and to as many different schools as you'd like to go to. So there are no limits on the unofficial visits other than it's on your own dime. The school cannot provide you with any food, travel expenses, parking, accommodation, anything like that. Okay. Then after the unofficial visit occurs, the official visit, now you have each student athlete can take up to 5 official visits. Okay. One, this is to benefit the, you know, student athlete. So he's not going to be, you know, traveling every day, you know, every weekend for 5, 6 months, going to every school in the country. Now, some kids wouldn't mind that, you know, they may have no intention of going to that school, but they might want a free trip. So it's a protective thing for both the student athlete and for the institutions. Okay. And you have to register, we as a school have to register with USports each individual that comes to our school on an official visit, so they can track whether or not you've taken your full allotment. Okay. We're allowed to host 50 prospective student athletes on official visits per year. Okay. And so when they're there for their official visit, we can pay for their food, their travel, accommodation. Okay. So we take care of it. We are truly their host. And generally it's a weekend, could be an overnight, depending on, you know, how far they're traveling to come. But a lot of times it ends up being come in on a Friday, leave on a Sunday morning type deal. Okay. We like to bring them in on a Friday so that they get the chance to meet with an academic advisor, and, you know, while they're around on a weekday, because believe me, they're not sticking around on a Saturday to meet with guys. Okay. So we get them in there on Fridays so they get their academic appointments out of the way on the weekday. Okay. All right. So the unofficial, like I said, it can be an overnight. It's a good opportunity for the student athlete to get a feel for the team. Okay. A little bit of the student athlete experience, campus life, good academic advisor appointment, opportunity to sit down with the coaching staff and ask a multitude of questions, just, ranging from, what position you see me playing, where, what style of offense, defense do you run, all those type of things that may be important to the young man. Okay. And then they're registered, as I said, with USports by the host school. And then generally after the official visit is over, young man travels home. He's going to get followed up with a phone call, an email, just confirming everything went okay as he got home and all that good stuff. Okay, this is probably the number one thing that we come across that people are not aware of when it comes to recruiting. All student athletes that play U Sport and all recruited athletes require a U Sports ID number. So for someone to take an official visit, for someone to be offered an athletic scholarship, an AFA by an institute, they have to have a U Sports ID number, okay? And that would get registered with USports. It costs $50. The student athlete has to pay that. The school is not allowed to pay that for him, okay? And they use this, first of all, as a prospective student athlete. All your official visits will get registered on your USports site. So when you hit 5, you can't go on any more official visits. Okay, later on in the process, when you start receiving offers from schools, official offers, they go through the USport portal, it's called. Okay, it's just an email basically that comes and says, you've been offered X amount of dollars for X amount of years. And, this is the offer from University of Toronto or Guelph or UBC or who's ever making the offer. And then it sits there in your file until you either accept it or decline it, okay? Now you keep that USport ID all the way through your time in university. And so they keep track of your eligibility using that website. If you are one of the guys that's fortunate enough or unfortunate enough, depending on your point of view, to get selected for the random drug testing, that would be in your file, those type of things. Anything that's important to your USport career will be in your USport file under this not registration number, okay? So as I said, that's only paid for by the individual student athlete. All right, now the Athletic Financial Award, the AFA, okay? All student athletes can receive athletic financial awards or athletic scholarships. In Ontario, the maximum value is $4,500 per year, okay? Other conferences have different limits. It's just the Ontario schools. This is the limit they chose to have. It's actually gone up. It used to be 4,000. It's gone up to 4,500. There's been talk about amending it one way or the other as well, okay? To be offered and earn a scholarship are different things. And what we mean by that is this, okay? I can offer anybody I want a scholarship, but unless that individual has an 80% average, he can't take advantage of my athletic financial award. He has to have an 80% average. 79.5, 79.95 is not going to cut it. It has to be 80% or higher, okay? And my line to the kids when I talk to them is this: you gotta flip a lot of burgers at McDonald's to earn $4,500. So why not buckle down in school a little bit and get your 80%? Make that your job. If you're that talented that you should be getting offered a scholarship of $4,500, it's a damn shame if you can't get it because you got a 78 average, okay? So that's where that, they need to understand that, okay? And then the scholarships are limited by rule and resources, so not all prospects can get, not everybody gets 4,500. Some guys get partials, some guys get 4,500 for 4 years, some are, 1 year, whatever. It just depends on, it's a little bit of a contract negotiation sometimes is the best way to look at it. But those are kind of the guidelines for the AFA or financial award. Okay. Now, what is the letter of intent? So we've been recruiting your student athlete. We have made him an offer. He's come on his visit. He likes everything about our school. So he wants to commit and accept our offer. Okay. He will be asked to sign a USports letter of intent, the LOI. Okay. The LOI signing formally ends the recruitment process. He is now, if he commits to the University of Toronto, that means no other school in Canada can be talking to him or trying to recruit him or offer him a scholarship. Once these has signed and it's registered with USports, his recruiting process ends. However, and this is what some of the more talented athletes involved need to understand. I can make a commitment in Canada, but if something comes up where I'm also being recruited in the US and they offer me a scholarship, I can take that scholarship in the US and one is canceled. It doesn't carry across the border. And the same could be true, from someone in the US coming to Canada. However, the money differences, that doesn't happen very often. Okay. So now the LOIs are registered with USports and it's signed by accepting on the LOI on the USports website. Basically, the young man goes into his file, finds the one from University of Toronto, that's the one he's accepted. He goes in, clicks on accept, and that's it. It used to be, you came to the school, you had a paper form, the guy would sign his name to it, parents would sign it, and everybody would take the photos and be a big ceremony. We still do the photo shoots when we can, but that's all ceremonial now. We're not coming to your school to do that until the guy's clicked on his USports site already, because we know that he's committed. Okay. And then, as I said, no further contact from other schools. All right. The LOI. Now, what happens to the LOI? That doesn't guarantee that he's into school. He still, like you can't go, oh, I signed my scholarship and now I start blowing school off and all of a sudden, my grades aren't what I need them to be to get admitted to, whether it's U of T, Western, wherever it is. If you don't get admitted to school, then the letter of intent is null and void. And the decommitting can carry a penalty of loss of scholarship and possibly even eligibility for the first year. Okay. The one time when it goes null and void is if, I wanted to get into business and for some reason I got accepted into school, but I didn't get the program that I wanted, then I do not have to attend that school. I can decommit and the letter of intent is null and void because I didn't get my desired program of study. Okay. What's next here, Joe? Okay, so that kind of ends the formal presentation. Some of the things that we tell kids when they go to talk to us or talk to any other school, some of the questions they might want to ask, okay? You want to find out about what the academic support systems that are in place to help you get your degree, because ultimately, that's why they're there at universities, to get their degree. So they're going to be ready to take on the world when they're, done playing football. because the number of guys that go on to play professionally is not very large. Okay. What are the facilities like? Get to know the coaches, get to know the team, your teammates, get a feel for campus. Because the other thing that you want to do, to be honest with you, I went through this with two of my children. Hey, one for football, one for basketball. Don't just go to a school because you like the coach or you liked, whatever, the color of the uniforms or whatever crazy reason it might be. Okay. If you don't like the school, you don't like the campus, but you want to go there because you like the coach. Well, the coach may not be there the whole time you're there, or you may get hurt and not play football anymore. Are you going to be happy being at that institution, or have you wasted 2 or 3 years, of your university education, and now you want to transfer? Those are things that you need to consider. All right. Am I going to be happy at that university regardless of my circumstances? Okay. And then another thing that they want to look at, to me, is when's my turn? How realistic it is that I'm going to get to play. Am I going to have to wait for 3 years to see the field, or am I going to get a chance to compete in year 1, year 2, whatever it is? You never guarantee a kid anything, but to me, you give me the opportunity to compete for a position, compete for a spot on the roster, and tell them what the path is to get there. But, if I'm going to a situation and I'm an offensive lineman and they got 23-year-old linemen already on their roster, chances are I'm going to be waiting my turn for a couple years before I ever see the field. And is that what you want to do? That's up to the individual, but I think those are things you need to be aware of. Okay?